But what really sucks is when there is a new rescue, and instead of people trying to help them and educate them, instead they have the daggers out and decide that this is going to be a free-for-all, and wonder why there's not a lot of people and good, honest people that are in rescue. You know, that's crazy to me. None of these rescues have never had a loss. None of these rescues have ever not found their way, and she's trying different things right now to find her way. And it's not something that all of us agree on. I don't agree on everything. You don't agree with everything, but instead of throwing daggers, instead what I'm doing is trying to help educate her from a friendship side, from a supportive side, instead of being, you know, like, you don't think the way that I do, so F you. That's just not how I work when my end goal is to save horses. And I believe that Dawn is going to be a force to reckon with once she finds her way, as she gets more educated, as she's in the shit, because she doesn't have to be. She could have people working for her, you guys. She's out there digging ditches, and she doesn't have to be doing any of that stuff. It's the heart that she has. It's broken. Hey, it's broken. I'll do it. So that's where I say, you know, agree to disagree on certain things just because you don't like certain things. And now there's obviously... Okay, here's another thing I want to say. For everybody that has something bad to say about the way that Dawn's doing things, where are you? What horses are you saving right now? And Wes, I'm not going to approve that because it's not just about that. She's not neglecting these horses. You guys don't know the conversations that she's had with vets. You guys haven't seen everything. She's not recording 24 hours a day. You know what I'm saying? So without you guys knowing the whole story, instead, have you reached out to her? Have you asked her any of these questions, or are we're just throwing stones, right? She's not neglecting these foals. The moment that she realized that there was an issue, they did not go a week without seeing it. See, you guys don't even know the whole situation. So instead of throwing daggers and stones without knowing the whole situation and stepping in at the tail end of something when you don't know, and Wes, you should know me better by now of how much I love horses and how I would not allow or support somebody that is neglecting or abusing horses. You should know that by now. And if you don't, I don't know what to tell you. She had multiple phone calls on the day of, the day that she got them, which was after hours. Next day was New Year's Eve. Then it was New Year's. Then she spoke to them again on Monday. Yeah, Wes, you don't even know my situation. Okay, we can throw stones, Wes. You don't want me to do that. There's a reason why I took my horse out of your care. Do you want me to go into it? Because of all the weight that he left and he got injured on your property? I don't think you want to go there because I've been really nice and not saying anything. Like extremely nice on not blowing that out. And I've got pictures to back it up. So there's that. And Dana, like, you know, okay, you guys can just leave my live because you don't obviously know anything. You haven't talked to me about any of this stuff. And we have been supposed friends for a long time. Bunch of fake ass people in this world. Yeah, HCM, she is doing the best that she can, and she is extremely transparent in all of her lives. And she's showing people the dirty side of learning from the very beginning. And you guys don't have to agree. I care less, to be honest with you. I'm seeing the entire story, and I know that she has heart. I know that she's new, and I don't agree with every single little thing that's been done. And I have told her this. So I've been open with her and more of an educational side of it rather than attacking her, because I don't think that attacking somebody that's new and coming into rescue is the right way to support rescues or to show people that you should be a rescue. Yeah, so there's a lady, Dawn Olivieri. She's on Instagram. She's a Yellowstone actress, I guess. I don't even know what character she plays, to be honest with you. I haven't, but she was contacted by Barbara, I believe, sent her information, who is someone that was working with us, sent her information to the Arabian Rescue Mission. And they contacted her and said, hey, we don't have anywhere to keep these foals. Can you get them out? And she said yes. In 2 hours, she went out there and got the first load. Next day, they said, can you take more? She went out there. She took more. And again, this was within a very short amount of time. And she let them know, hey, I'm not, and she said on our lives as well, I'm not 100% prepared for these babies yet, but we'll get there. We'll get there together. I'll show you guys what we're doing. And, you know, I knew that was going to have backlash on her because she was doing it in front of everybody. But what do you guys think it happens when rescues start? They don't start from having everything. They just don't. And she's learning a lot of stuff along the way and very fast. And it's gotten a lot of publicity really fast. And I feel really bad for her, but at the same time, I don't, because I know that she's learning. It seems that she doesn't have enough capacity for that many horses. I'm not sure how many acres she has, but she has them in a smaller quarantine area. Well, she had them in a smaller quarantine area. They've actually moved from that farm into a barn because it was just getting too cold and she was afraid. Big Bree says they should start with adequate experience and education too. Hey, you're right. People should start that way. But if they didn't and they're already in the shit and they've already started, why wouldn't you support them rather than, and talk to them, educate them, help them? She's not going to stop. So why wouldn't you help them instead of creating bigger issues and throwing daggers? I just don't understand. I guess I don't understand that. Like, why wouldn't you just help them rather than sit back and criticize? How many foals do you have? How many rescues do you have? You know, it's really easy to sit on the sidelines and throw stones. You know, you're not the one that's doing it. She is. She has listened to things that I've said, but unfortunately, it's already stuff that she's done, and I can only do so much. I can't force people to do things. But she did end up taking the rest of the babies out of the farm. She put them in a barn. She had all of them paneled. And then from the panels, the ones that had severe anemia, she immediately took to the vet that she has no cap at, and that she knows that she can give them adequate care all the way through. And HM says people criticize simply because they're not willing to help. Well, the thing is that I believe that most people are coming from a place of care. It's the way that they're going about it is, to me, not giving the grace that somebody deserves when they're trying to do something good from the bottom of their heart. Like, she has no ill intentions. If you go onto Instagram, it's Dawn Olivieri. She's Moon Mountain Sanctuary and Rescue. And she's just starting. And Arabian Rescue Mission contacted her, and she told him, she's like, hey, I'm not 100% prepared for this, but if they need to get out, I'll get them out. And she did. And Bree, I believe that every rescue has not experienced every situation that there ever was. And I do believe that every rescue has messed up at some point and sometimes costing lives. However, they would have died anyways. They had extreme anemia. They didn't get out in time. They had organ failure. There was not enough blood pumping through their body. Their hearts were pumping too hard to keep up with the severe anemia that they had. And if you guys think that you can do a better job, there's still 39 horses over there. Go get them out. Please do. But Bree, she did have a vet out as soon as they possibly can. Can you force a vet to do anything? I mean, again, so easy to criticize when you're not doing it, when you're not there. Like, you go rescue them. You guys stepped out. Bree, you stepped out with 40 more horses. You bowed out with 40 more horses still to go. But then come on and criticize those who are rescuing them. Do you see where the problem, therefore, is? like there it is. Like, if you don't want to associate, then why are you on my live and criticizing her? You only want a one-sided criticism, a one-sided conversation. You don't want to hear what she has to say, but you want to make sure that everybody hears what you have to say. That is not productive, like at all. All it's doing is looking like a bunch of childish drama bullshit surrounding the rescue, and there's still 39. Bree, every rescue starts somewhere. Educate her. Educate her. Rather than throwing daggers and stones, educate her. I thought you were a person of peace, of helping people, of support. She has absolutely said, hey guys, I need help. And she has called multiple vets. So if you guys aren't understanding that, I don't know what to tell you. But if you're going to come on just to criticize when you're not personally doing anything, then I don't care what you say. If you are not actually helping, then you're part of the problem. Have you called ASPCA, Bree? Because today I talked to a congressman and a chief of law, and that was because of Dawn. She connected me to people. Bree, she has to learn her way. It might not be the way that you want to do things, but that's okay. If you don't want to work with her, you don't have to. You already bowed out. She has done more in the last 2 weeks than any other rescue could possibly do. We spoke to a Texas congressman who is getting us in touch with a congressman in Arkansas, and then we spoke to the chief of something, I don't remember. His last name is Black. Spoke to him today as well. Audra says, I was turned off on the fact that it's a group complaining about a woman who has rescued horses. She's trying. Yes, exactly. He's still currently on the property, and he has 39 horses still with him that we're trying to either have the property owner assist us in getting them out so that they are not... but you're the one complaining that she's not doing it right. So again, you bowed out, so bow out respectfully. Are the 39 being fed, watered? Yes. As of right now, there was enough donations that came in that are able to feed the horses for at least a month, and then they have water. And water was never the issue; it was the feed. The problem is that they're not letting the horses go until they're a 1 body score, right? So if they're a 1 body score, the likelihood of them getting help even when they get out, it lowers what they're actually able to do, right? If their body is already shutting down, there's not a whole lot you can do. You can try your best, but it doesn't mean that you're going to be successful. And part of rescue, unfortunately, is you're not going to win them all. And despite best efforts, and I know that some people think there weren't best efforts, but then at the same time didn't want to assist in those best efforts, so they don't actually know everything that's going on or has gone on, it's really easy for people to throw stones without saying things. Let's see. He does not want to give up the other 39. Absolutely does not. So I left and came across you. I figured you must be the other subject being topic. No, it's not me. However, I also don't let people say shit like, I don't let people spread bullshit. I will tell you exactly how it is. And it's one of those things that I don't want to get into it. I'll just go back to where it was at. No, it's not me. Let's put it that way. Body score has to be one before they can be rescued or adopted out. No, that is when the property owner has put her foot down and says that they need to get help. So once they're a body score of like 1, then she says, they need help. Please get them out. Whereas she has other horses that are in decent condition, but once they run out of feed again, then we might be right back at right back to square one. And then we're a body score of 1 again. And then we're fighting, anemia and for organs shutting down and just all the stuff. Whereas if we can get them out before they're at a 1 body score, before their organs are shutting down, knowing that this happens every single year with this guy, he loses 30 horses over the winter time, we know that we need to get him out before that. And now we're at that point where she's stuck between a moral dilemma herself because she cares for Christo, but at the same time, she also doesn't want to be responsible for these horses because they're not hers. At the same time, because now they're dying as soon as they leave because their bodies were shutting down already because they were a body score of 1, she's saying that it was because they traveled that they passed away. And it's like, it might have added to the stress, but they were already leaving. They were already on their way out, right? So we need to get them out before they get to, the brink of death. At that point, I feel like you're just passing the buck of the death onto somebody else, and that's not really fair. Yeah, they're in a property where you can't just make them disappear. We wish. No, it's not in a spot, and I'm not going to condone any kind of stealing, etc. We have to go through the legal routes because we want to make sure it's permanent and that nobody gets in trouble for it. If we have the law on our side, then we can get them taken out and be done with it. No, I think people are also mad. Jenny May is not that she's not refeeding. She was following her vet's instructions, who happened to be that particular one that was open during the New Year's time period, was that she followed his instructions, and he's 85 years old. So he was doing like an old school, I guess, method. I don't know. And then she ended up contacting another vet, speaking with them, FaceTiming with them, getting an appointment with them. They tried to cancel the appointment on her. She got them to still come, take the blood panel because she was going to Texas. She wanted to take the blood panel with her. And instead, Felix started going down. So once Felix started going down, then she rushed him to the vet. And then when she got back, she was like, oh my God, the other ones are starting. So she's 100% new. She's an actress, right? She was living in Hollywood, and she hated being in the city. I don't know her whole story. I've not really asked her whole story, nor is it my place to really share it. But she just started this rescue in July, and she was rescuing res babies, and she has gotten a lot of them adopted out, a lot of them very healthy, but none of them prepared her for the severe malnutrition that these babies had. And every rescue is going to, at some point, come across something that they've never come across before. If we knew what the chance to bounce back was, it would be a different story. But I think she's pretty determined right now. Again, this is something that's a personal decision for the person of what they want to do, and she may still humanely euthanize. I don't know. I really don't know. And in certain cases, absolutely. But since most of the horses, not the foals, have been through this every single year for 25 years, the ones that have been throughout those 25 years, they all either survive the winter or they don't. And then they get healthier during the spring and summertime when there is pasture for them to eat. And then right as soon as the pasture starts disappearing, then they start losing weight again. And then we get into winter, and then another 30 die, and it's going to be the weaker ones, right? And so it's almost like the Mustangs, where the weakest ones are the ones to die first. And that's it. I've already answered that question a couple times. And you guys are more than welcome to go and ask Dawn things as well. You don't have to ask just me. And if you have advice for her, she is the nicest person in the world and her heart is in the right place. She is open to civil conversations and to learning and being educated. She doesn't have ego when it comes to that. And so I think that is what has drawn me towards Dawn, is that I see that her heart is in the right place and that she's not perfect and she's ready, even though her imperfections are there, just like everybody else. Most people hide them. She's being extremely transparent and letting everybody see what the issues are. And then, you know, she's getting the criticism for it. And most places don't do that. Most people most places will hide the bad things, the bad decisions. They're not going to be so upfront and telling everybody every little part. But she's like, listen, I'm new. I'm learning. I'm growing. Follow along with me. And it's not even just Talia. She's learning from a lot of people. She's got vets. She's got a lot of people that she's learning from. And she does have a wonderful group of people that are working with her. So it's not that she's not dumb. She's not a dumb lady at all. But nobody's perfect, you know, and everybody makes mistakes. However, these particular foals, I'm surprised that even 10 of them are still alive right now because they were so far gone. And when they tested the levels, it is high extreme anemia and high white blood cell counts on 3 of them. And as soon as she got that panel back, boom, straight to the vet. And it's really hard when you're new and you don't know anything about severely emaciated animals. It's one of those things that you want to, because your heart is telling you to give them all the feed them. That's what they're missing. Feed them. Unfortunately, these babies would have probably passed anyways, to be honest with you, that because of the severe anemia. And even with the red cell, even with the vitamin bags, even with everything that she was trying to give them, their bodies were already shutting down. Wasteland Witch, you should ask her that. I think everybody can learn from others, but it'd be a lot harder for her to probably want to reach out to other rescues or people with knowledge, seeing as they have daggers out for her rather than wanting to help her. Instead of helping to educate, it's just immediate in the fire. And I think that's a really good way to show people how they don't want to be in there. Yes, the babies were laying down before she took them. There was already 3 horses that they thought were going to die the days prior. So she's on Instagram under Dawn Olivieri, and she is Moon Mountain Rescue Sanctuary and Rescue. And I love that people just kind of like nitpick the little things that they don't like, and then they don't see the whole thing as, you know, there's positive here. Those babies would have gotten 0 vet care had they stayed on the property. They would have all died had they stayed on the property. And if you could have done it better, then why didn't you? Especially the people that were in my group that knew the whole situation, that knew we had rescues coming in. Why didn't you take them? Instead, it's easy to sit on the sidelines, bow out, and then not actually save any of them. It's just so weird to me. The fact that some are even alive is a miracle, 100%, and they are getting vet care. So I just feel like instead of being so rude and so mean, understand that she's coming from a good place. Let's see. What about ones around her area? The original property owner had already contacted a bunch of the rescues in her area, and they had said that they are not accepting any additional right at that time. So they contacted her. The rescue in Kentucky, I'm not going to comment on her. She's not my cup of tea. We'll just put it that way. My friend rescued a res baby and she's in rough condition, but that many is oof. But Dawn also has a whole team of people helping her. Yeah, sorry, HCM. I don't want to contribute to the drama. I just want to clear up what I can, what I know, and I guess just put my thoughts out there on why it is that I am assisting Dawn, even though she's made mistakes. And that's because I believe that people that are new and make mistakes deserve some grace and people to help them rather than criticize and only nitpick the bad. When there's horses to be saved, why wouldn't you be nice? Because you're not going to get along with it's like rescues have to work with other rescues, and some of them are taking kill pens and some of them don't believe in the kill pens, and some do this and some do that, and they have opposing views on things, but in the end of the day their goal is all the same, and so they work together, and that's the way that it should be. And then there's people that from the outside who are not even rescuing, that are not doing any of it, that have the most to say, and I just think that that's messed up, to be honest with you. How come I'm seeing Arabians with the odd noses as normal? They never looked like that before. What do you mean? What do you mean about the odd noses? The dish? The dish is an Arabian trait. They're purebred Egyptian Arabians coming from a 3-world champion, Asanta Sinan. It is important to have the team and faculties. Absolutely, I agree with that. And she has the team. However, she was called on 2-hour notice from another rescue saying, hey, we have some skinny babies. We don't have space for them, and we're all the way in Kentucky, so can you please come and pick up these babies? And she's like, oh gosh, I'm not completely set up for this, but sure, we'll get set up. We'll do it at the same time. And, that's fine. I personally wouldn't do it that way, but she made it happen, and she had a whole crew of people out there working. Force and here. There's a lot of experienced people chiming in. It's not criticism, it's passion for horses. But if they're going to use their experience for good with the passion for horses, why not do it in a way that's helpful and productive rather than casting stones, criticizing, being rude, being mean, and making public posts instead of just talking to the person? Like, just go message her. She's readily available. The first time I messaged her, she called me in 5 minutes, and she didn't know me from Adam. Like, if you have something to say or maybe something to help her, contact them. And if you can rescue and do a better job, then stand up. But if you're just going to stand on the sidelines and say, I love horses, and not know everything that's going on, and at the same time, it is what it is. And she's not showboating them, in my opinion. She's being transparent. She's trying to show people exactly what goes on behind rescue, the side that people don't see because other rescues hide a lot of stuff that happens. They hide mistakes because mistakes happen all the time, in every aspect. And again, I don't agree with every single little thing. I personally would have been more prepared. Yes, Egyptian Arabians do have a more pronounced dish than other Arabians. People make mistakes daily in rescue. Do you think that there's a perfect rescue out there? Because I would love to meet them. Do you think you're perfect in your job every day and have been since the day you started? Or when you went to kindergarten, did you already know your ABCs and how to read? When you were born, did you know how to walk? Or did you have to have help? Did you fall down before you knew how to walk? Because that's life, right? There's a learning curve to everything that you do. And I can only imagine, if you were in this position right now, and I would say the same thing if it was you. Awesome that you knew that. Did you know how to walk out of the womb? And hey, people that do due diligence, hell yeah, my favorite kind of people. But when somebody's already in the situation and already in the shit and already doing it and have already made the decision to do it, they decided to jump head in, and just because that's not the way that you would do it, or maybe that I would do it, it doesn't mean that they aren't worth teaching. She didn't have time to plan before. She was contacted 2 hours before she was able to get out. Now, did she plan with her rescue? I'm sure she did a lot of planning with her rescue, but I don't know. And she's not even just, I don't think it's showboating, I think, or just raising awareness. I think she's also just being super transparent, because people are sending her money and she wants you to see, first of all, where is your money going? What is it that she's doing? You know, she's showing you guys all of it. Whether, well, there's small things, obviously she doesn't record all day, every day, but the times that she's out there, it isn't it for you. She says, but jumping straight in isn't it a good idea at all in any aspect for you. Other people actually do a lot better when they're put into a situation than other people do. So just because something is not right for you doesn't mean that everybody else thinks, feels, learns the same way that you do. And in all reality, thank you, Mund. The goal was to help the horse, and if you can do it better, then do it. But until then, see, and Cindy, and you've done a fantastic job, and you lost one too, and it's not your fault. It's just these things happen, and rescues take things on a whim all the time. To be honest with you, had she not stepped up, there would have been absolutely no vetting at all. In fact, the remainder horses that are on the property right now have absolutely no vetting. There are 2 chestnuts that we're aware of right now, a stud and a mare, who are extremely emaciated, and we're trying to get them off the property before they're too far gone. You know, and they're not getting any vetting. So it's either we get them off in any way that we possibly can and get them to a vet. Unfortunately, she was called at a time, it was right before New Year's, and you can't force a vet to do anything. And from what I understand, she FaceTimed them, showed them what they had. It was late when she got home that first night. Second day, she immediately went back and got the next ones. She had a crew that was over there taking care of the first ones. There's just a lot of moving parts, and it happened at a really odd time. And in all reality, these babies wouldn't have survived if they stayed on the farm. They wouldn't have survived at all. So she's now taken other pre-measures. She has taken them out of the farm that she's doing and has taken them to a friend's barn where they're nice and cozy and warm. They've got bedding. They're on a streaked refeed that is from the university. And then she's got the other 3, well, 2 now, on 24-hour critical care inside the Equine Sports Medicine in Pilot Point. And they are monitoring the heck out of them. Yes, she did pick up the second ones New Year's Eve. And then the next day was New Year's, you know, and that's Monday. And then Tuesday comes and she did another FaceTime call with them. She got feeding instructions, showed them everything that was going on. Yeah, have you been to Mena, Arkansas? Vets are usually available for emergency on-call visits, though. Have you been to Mena? I haven't been to Mena, but I've heard that it's an extremely small place, and the equine veterinarian that I know of there, just the one that I've heard of, is 85 years old. And she did have phone calls with them and let them know everything that was going on. And I want you guys to even remember, too, that these babies didn't look like they were dying until Wednesday, I would say. We were really worried about Felix. They had their adrenaline rush because their organs were failing. They looked hungry, but and they're skinny. And she's never seen horses this skinny before. And it's very easy for someone that doesn't have experience. And this is where I say, you know, having her veterinarian tell her the feeding diet and then it's not correct because he's not following the university guidelines. She doesn't know that. She's too new, right? And so this is where the education comes in. There's a place in my area that if I'm not, no, so Ratama no longer does farm calls. Decent does, but they're like way far from me now. But I mean, it's really hard to find equine vets here for emergency. You have to bring them in. But for a 24-hour care, that's even different. Now, I don't know if she had a 24-hour care closer than 4 hours or if she went to the one that was 4 hours away because she knows that vet there and has no cap in what she's allowed to charge. And she was determined to find out what was going on and to get him better. Isn't it true a lot of these horses aren't actually babies but 6+? I can tell you all but one of the babies that is still on the farm. The baby, her name is Angel, and there's a black baby that's out there, so I'm just giving you the names that they have. Those two babies are still on the farm, and Angel is the only one that was born on the farm, and they have been there since June. And they came as foals. And then Ariel, I have pictures of her from even beyond that. So that's just my point. Or why did she open a rescue if she didn't have education? I didn't say she didn't have education. I said that I don't think that she personally knew about that one specific thing. And there's other things she's not going to know, right? But she does have a team of people around her. She has veterinarians that she can call. And I can guarantee you that every single rescue, whether they've been there for a day or 20 years, will have something come across their plate that they've never dealt with before and don't know how to handle. And I can guarantee you that you also have things that come across your life that you don't know how to handle. Like lives, for instance. Maybe the soil. They weren't eating the soil. So basically where they weren't getting enough food. And so that's what it was. They became severely anemic. And when you're anemic, you don't have as much blood pumping through your body, which means that your heart has to work even harder. And they started having organ failure. Yeah. I've never personally dealt with a horse that emaciated. I do know about the university refeed syndrome or system. Yeah, I feel like some people just want to complain, and so I'm just not going to even give it any more information. They actually did. Some of these people, like Wasteland Witch, was one of those people that was every single, with Falcon and with all of it, was just a naysayer all the way through. Kind of trolled my page and my lives every single time. So I'm don't really care, to be honest with you. So fodder is actually really cool, and she does barley fodder. So Suzanne does barley fodder, and it's a hydroponic seed sprout. It's high in vitamins. It's high in a lot of stuff. And then at the end of the day, it's also, and it's also full of water. So I'm so tired right now, you guys. Wasteland Witch, you said you were reading and ABCs before you even got into kindergarten and being a smartass. And you were actually like that all the way through the Falcon thing too. So I don't even know why you're on my page or why you follow me, to be honest with you. You just kind of troll my shit every single time. Usually horses are like people and very smart. Actually, I think horses might be smarter in some sense when it comes to minerals, etc. There was actually there was a university study with horses and minerals, and they did loose minerals where, like, one was this type, one was this type, and they're all separated out. And they did blood tests on the horses to find out what minerals they were lacking in and which ones they needed. And then they went in and they weighed how much was in there, and then you could see how much. Okay, Wasteland Witch, I don't care, to be honest with you. I'm just gonna. You seem like you're like so much fun at parties, but not my party. And so the horses would go and get the one that they specifically needed. And when they retested their blood, oh my God, I can't even talk right now. When they retested their blood, they were doing what it was that they were supposed to be getting. So they were self-medicating, and that's really cool. Yeah, I believe I've heard the rumor that he was going to a veterans ranch, but to be honest with you, once they got to once the horses, Falcon and Pete, got into the whole Victor, Montana, we knew where they were, but they were just sitting there. Once he put them up when he put up Falcon on the Platinum, I mean, we don't know where he went from there. That's the end that we can help you with. Minerals are very important to equine. You are correct. Liz, check into fodder. So I do know that if you think about horses, right, and if you feed them the same hay all the time, or they're eating the same grass all the time, and then you come put alfalfa in front of them, they're likely going to go for the alfalfa and not go for the other stuff, right? And so I think in that situation, that's what was going on, because with fodder, it's actually extremely healthy for them, and it's really healthy for your chickens. No, I just touched up on it because someone kept asking, Christy Rose. It's actually about the 65 Arabians. Actually, loose salt is better than salt blocks. Salt blocks are meant for cows, and cows have extremely rough tongues, and horses do not. So they can lick and lick, but they're not going to get the amount of salt that they actually need. So if you put loose salt, they'll eat as much loose salt as they actually need. But yes, salt is extremely important to their diets. And they did have the lick tubs. However, those lick tubs were full of molasses, and that might have perked them up from the moment that they got those as well. And remember, they're having sugar rush. These horses did not have any food. It's really sad for a really long time, or at least not any food, but not enough food. But fodder is actually really, really good for them. All right, guys, I think that's enough for tonight. You guys have heard the spiel. You know what's going on. And I don't know why you're saying y'all weren't. I wasn't there. I'm not there. I'm in Texas. She's in Arkansas. And yes, I was concerned about refeed. Unfortunately, that's not what they passed from. They died from severe anemia, which they tested in the blood. They saw that they had severe anemia. They took them in, and they did everything they could, but their organs shut down. There was not enough blood in their system from the anemia. For their heart had just been pumping so hard that it gave out, and they had major organ failure. And you guys can look this up in the Merck Veterinary Handbook if you want, and see for yourself what severe anemia does. These foals they're delicate. Like, they're strong, but they're delicate. And if they had stayed on that property any longer, they would not have survived at all. So the fact that they survived up to this point, it's really hard losing them, period. Foals do have sensitive systems, 100%. And they're not, so I was telling you guys about their ages. So Ariel was at least about 1.5 years, and the others were all over 8 months old. They were just so malnutritioned from the time that they were in their mother's stomachs while they were in the womb, all the way till birth, that they didn't grow the way that they were supposed to grow, unfortunately. Yes, Poppy, I'm married. I had Botox today, and you can see my little Botox marks. Yeah, and Okolona. You don't think that they were born at Mary's? Okolona is Mary's, yeah. Yeah, some of them look like they were young enough to where they had to have been. She was small for an Arabian 1.5 years. She was the size of a 9-month-old. But again, I have pictures of the day that she arrived at that farm, and she was at least 8 months old at that time. And it doesn't look like she grew much more from that time until the end. I guess I could always put a slide and set it up for everybody to see of what they were the day that Ariel would have been born during the time that or at least in that time frame of where 30 horses were lost. And she might have been born right before then, but it was right around the time that they were all starting to lose their condition, including her mother, is what I suspect. That's what I suspect for sure. And so all of the horses right now, there's 39. There was 69 of them. 4 of them died in the last month over at the property owners where Christo is. And then the 5 babies left the first day at night at Dawn's, and then she immediately went back the next day and got the other 7, brought those home. And then there's other ones that the Arabian Rescue Mission, I was sending a lot of adopters and stuff to her. I have ceased that, but there is still spots for adopters, and if she has some already. And then mares probably didn't have much milk. Yeah, not only did the mares not have much milk, but he kept them on them forever, even while they were pregnant, like all the way through, which is normal for brood mares to have a foal on their side, but not all the way to the end of their pregnancy. Usually they'll kick them off. But with them being, a lot of these horses are like 25 years old and still being bred. And it's just like they might abort a baby, and then next week, no vet check. Next week, they're pregnant again. And so it's really sad. And I don't think that Christo means for them to have all these issues. I believe that he just really doesn't see everything. He has some Arabians that seem like they might be on the taller side. I'll have to check and see what Ansada Sinan was, but that's the lines that these guys are coming from. It looks like some of them might be on the taller side, but most of them are going to be, 13.3 to 15 hands, I think, would be like the average really for Egyptian Arabians. I don't think that they're too big, but I'd have to double check that. I'm not super familiar with specifically Egyptian Arabians. Yes, he was pasture breeding. He has a band of stallions, and then inside the herd, there was smaller herds, little bands of studs that had their own mares, their own little herd of mares, and they would kind of all just hang out together, I guess. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's going on. Really? He had over 100? So when he came to you, Cindy, what did he have, 90 something? No, they are not registered. He thinks he's preserving the bloodline, but not registering any of them. And this has been going on for like 25 years. We've been knowing about this for the last 9 months. Cindy is actually the one who notified us of the situation, and we jumped to action trying to find him for quite a few months. Once we found him, we got in contact. I got in contact with the property owner literally within 5 minutes of finding out who she was and her information. And from there, we've been working with her to get him either off the property and the horses in our possession, or with the rescues. Yeah, so that's 94 at that point. And then he went to, by the time he got to this current property, he had 69. Or, actually something doesn't add up. The property owner, when I first talked to her, she said 71. And then recently she said 69. And then she said that one was born on the property. So I'll have to ask her about that, because I'm a little bit confused on that. I've heard it. It makes me wonder if there is another one that passed away that we don't know about. Yeah, I'm not super duper educated on just Arabians. Yeah, Chad, they're going to need a little bit more than just grass right now, I think. But you can contact Dawn Olivieri and see if she's got any rescues for you. If not, there's another one. And I'm sorry if she's on this live, Tara. I only know the one that has stuck in my brain is Voice of the Horse. And she can process applications for you as well. She has one that's for, I think, kill pens, and one that is for like surrenders and rescues. And I'm not 100% what the other name is. I'm not really good with names 100%. But they are going to need a lot more than grass right now. They really need the veterinary care that they're in. Yeah, there might be potentially one registered stud, but I don't know how good his sperm is at this point. He's 23, I believe, and most of these guys are not doing the greatest, and so you can't even see, excuse my language, the testicles. I'm going to say it that way so I don't get blocked. The balzonies, you can't see them because they're so skinny that they've actually sucked up inside of them. And that's the only one that I know is potentially. I'm like, Cindy, how do I say it without getting, a strike? You have to go through, Chad, you have to go through the adoption process. So definitely go and fill out an application with Voice of the Horse. And if you're talking about the studs, any studs will be gelded. They're not sending out any studs. The only studs that might not be gelded are the ones that are too old. And from there, she's got her group of people that's what they do, is work with the rescue. HCM. Did he not register him, so he couldn't be tracked? I'm not 100% sure if that's why they weren't registered, or if it was just because of laziness, or if it was because he felt like the line was being preserved either way. I mean, that's something that if and when I see him in person, I will consider asking him. I am going to be out there from the 16th to the 21st and see what we can do to get both the horses and Christo some help, although we do have some plan Bs in action right now. And I can't tell you guys too much about that. The Lorax, is it that he doesn't have the money to feed them? It's more than feed. He's got so many of them at this point, and they are continuously breeding, just kind of willy-nilly breeding. And the ones that aren't doing in good condition, he continues to breed them, and then he doesn't have enough feed for them. He doesn't have enough money for vetting them. And I don't know if you guys know how much it costs to feed that many starving horses, but it's a lot. And most people could not afford that long term. And this is why we've asked multiple rescues to come in and kind of spread them out into different rescues, because most rescues can't take on 65 horses at once. Not and give them the care that they need without some serious donations. And even with the serious donations, it's still going to be hard to cover long term. Yeah, Chad, I heard you. Horses are starving. They are, but you've got to get them. You have to go through the right channels and adopt them from Voice of the Horse. Imagine how much consistent feed you would need to sustain a herd of 70 or more horses, and veterinary care, and floating the teeth, and farrier work, and if one goes down in colic, blankets if they're cold, bedding. And I mean, if you're just going to stay out in the pasture, okay, but there's still things that you're going to need to do in order to take care of these horses. Like next week, they're supposed to be, from what I saw, I don't know if it's changed, but it was supposed to be negative 14 or so. And these ones that are severely emaciated, that's going to be really hard to keep them warm. They have no fat or muscle on their bodies to keep them warm. Chad, I don't own the horses. I have no say in where they go. So go to Voice of the Horse and talk to Tara, fill out an application, and if you're approved, she'll let you know. And she's got other horses there too. I know that that's not the right rescue. It's one of her rescues, but it's not the one she's going to direct you to, and I'm sorry, I'll figure that out by the next one. So HCM says, and that's a good question. It amazed me that he has been able to have so many and move them and be homeless minus current situation. Yes, it's amazing because he had somebody helping him in somewhat in the out of country. And that was the person that owned Veruska Arabians with him. Well, we don't know what's happened as of lately, but she has stopped sending any kind of funds to him, and she used to at least send him some money in order to get them some feed, but she's not sent enough over these years, especially when it comes to the winter months. Yeah, and he's been hiding, you guys, for 25 years, and he'll get caught, and he'll get charged, and he'll plead guilty. He'll pay the fines, they let him go, and then he moves on and continues. And so we're trying to stop that buck, and hopefully we're able to get him some help as well. We're working on something when it comes to that, because we do believe he has some sort of mental illness. But again, we're not doctors, we're not psychologists, so I can't say what is going on 100%, right? I can just say what I think. I think he's got hoarding and potentially some trauma that has put him where he doesn't want to lose these horses, and he feels that they are better off with him, even in an emaciated state, than they are with anyone else. And he doesn't see the condition the way that we see the condition. He's with them every day, and so he's not seeing, when we see them like for the first time and they're super skinny, we're like, whoa, and shocked. But he's seeing them go from like an okay condition during summertime to a extremely emaciated, and he doesn't realize it until they're going down that, oh, you know what, maybe this isn't the greatest right now. And so we've already contacted a mental health crisis psychologist, or I'm not sure exactly what her title is, but she specializes in hoarding and first and second generation immigrants. So she has she specializes in two of the things that he has going on. And so I'm sure she can maybe diagnose once she sees him, but we're trying to get an appointment for her to come out there to, first of all, help him understand what has already happened, that he's not going to have additional horses brought onto the property. He's not keeping the horses, although the property owner is somewhat willing to let him keep 10 that he manages under her supervision, that she's providing care for as a foster. However, I don't know how that's going to work when the rescue stops sending them money. So I don't know. I'm not sure she's completely thought that through. I personally would just like to get them all out and put them where I know that they're going to be okay, or at least they have the best chance of being okay. He seems to have a relationship with each horse. He does. So I don't know if you guys noticed, but none of these horses are mean horses, and they've been handled. They're just not trained, but they're really sweet. They're really personable. They've been around people. They are humanized. He lives in the pasture with them. He knows everything about each and every single individual one of them. He does love them. He just doesn't have the resources or mental capabilities in order to care for them properly. And so when it comes to 10 sounds like too many for him to have, I think they all need to be removed. I agree. But the property owner is trying to help him with his hoarding. But at the same time, I feel like that's enabling the situation a little bit. It's not making him get help for what it is that he's got going on that's causing these issues. And That's just my personal opinion. However, I do understand where her compassion is coming from. I understand where her empathy is coming from. And so in the end of the day, I'm not going to judge why she's doing it, but I will say that I don't personally think any horses should be left on property, because I know the time that the money runs out, I know what happens. And I also know that 10's a lot easier to move and start all over again than 65 or 39. I feel like he could get those moved a lot faster. Yeah, I believe that he's from Switzerland, you guys. Well, I mean, I hope that we can maybe find a solution for him as well. Okay, guys, it's getting late. I need to go give my kids baths and get them out of here, or get out of here. Not get my kids out of here, but go give them some attention before they go to bed. I will try to update you guys as I can. I just want to say, again, please give Dawn a little bit of grace, and just know that all of you that have been in horses started somewhere, and you all learned starting somewhere. Not everybody is going to learn the same way you do. Not everybody's going to think the same way that you do, and you are so welcome to disagree. And you're welcome to do whatever you want, really. It's not my place to tell you not to do anything. But I can say, I personally will speak out against people that are throwing stones but not helping, that are sitting on sidelines. And I will throw the most back at people that do know things about horses, that are educated, and that turn around and instead of helping her or educating her, decide to cast stones. That to me makes me feel like you're just holier than thou and forgot where you came from. And maybe you should talk to some rescues that have been around for 20 years, because I can guarantee you they not only have situations that happen still to this day that they've never come across, that they weren't educated on, that they didn't know about. And there's also, and there's things that have happened, accidents, things that they maybe made the wrong decisions on, and they just didn't tell the world about it. So by her telling the world, it opens her up to criticism, but it also opens up a door for you that know better to go and educate her and help her. You don't like something, go help her. And if you're not going to help her, you're just going to sit back and talk shit, then I'll make sure to give it back to you. So, all right, guys, have a good night.